Okay, so this is essentially day 2 of the development of this. I started a little bit that same time at day 1. There's some things I just kind of wanted to revisit and take a break on. Some things I need to try to fix too. So we're going to be going over all the styling and essentially making the site yours. It's taking those Relume components and transforming them to what you're really wanting them to look like. Now, this may not be the best scenario for that because fortunately these components worked out really well for what the scope and the need was for this project. I'll be doing something else in the future to get even further modifying these, but we'll still go over a lot of that right now, and especially a lot of the client first system, understanding that a little bit more. What I will have is I'll have my window open for the client first, so I can reference those, go over some of these things, and then also, of course, keep Webflow open as well, talk a little bit about this. Actually, so this video might be kind of 2 parts. It'll be that other part that I kind of recorded, a little bit of that, and then it's going to be the second part where I'm really breaking this stuff down a lot. Okay, so now to start making this thing essentially look like our button, and then button small, and then here we have button secondary and button small. Okay. So first thing we're going to want to do is actually make this a symbol. So I'm going to take this here. Okay, it doesn't work quite the same. So we'll do a symbol there. So we'll do nav bar. Okay. The cool thing is that this stuff is already essentially made for mobile. So it's already all fixed. Okay, so what we want to do is take our type. So actually, this one just says, actually we'll just do like, welcome to your home. Okay. Now this one again, the issue here, button. Oop. Button secondary instead. So the first one is view our work, or just view work, I think. Yeah, and then services. Okay, all this here as well. Okay, so now a few things here. We got to add this and then add this line here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have our image wrapper, and we have this here, okay? So I'm actually going to make another component so I can see that this image wrapper is inside of, okay, it's inside of the components. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and do a div block. It's also inside the component. I'm going to do a square, and so if I remember correctly, doing the image square, so what we'd want to do, you do image wrapper 1,1. Let's say 1,1 right here. Okay, and then the inside, you're going to do image again. And then we're going to choose our small flower right here. Perfect. So this one is going to take image wrapper image. Okay, it's going to take up this whole size, but we're going to go ahead and resize this. So this is going to be absolute, and it needs to be absolute to this guy here. So this guy needs to be relative. So then this, perfect. So actually what I'm going to do is, I'm going to rename this because I don't want to start making a bunch of combo classes. So let's do hero, it's hero flower, and then we'll give it the same properties as the other one for now, at least to give us a good starting point. And then we have absolute. Okay. And then full. So now this is working the way I want it to. But I only want the width to be, let's do 20% for now. And also we have cover, or yeah, we have cover. Okay, and so now, oops. So I want this to be actually a fixed width, so I can see the size in here. So it's going to be about 350 wide, 320 tall. It's more of a rectangle. There you go. Okay, and I also want this. That's not what I wanted to do. Off to the side here a little bit as well. Okay, there we go. So we do have some reviews in here. I'm going to take these again for now, but actually what I want to do is I want to do something a little different. So what I want to do is start making some, okay, so we're going to do client reviews, and we just need their name and essentially some, I guess we can do just some multi-line text here, nothing too crazy. Okay. Insert review here. All right. Create that collection. Save changes. Okay, we need another one because we need projects. All right, project details, summary, and project image. All right, client logo. Perfect. So that one worked out as well. So create collection, and then we're going to need, oops, cancel that. New one here. So blog post. And then we're going to have team members. And that should be it. Okay, so here what we want to do is we're going to have our section testimonial, this component here. So what I'm going to do is do collections, collection list. Okay. Now I'm going to give this the same class as, let's move it out, so it's under here. So we're going to do, actually I might want this one to be, yeah, that one to be a component. So this one, let's remove this. There we go. And then we're going to grab this component here, copy that, paste it into one of the collection items here. Oh, I did not collect this to a list. So this one's going to be client reviews, which unfortunately has nothing in there right now. So you can just make some fake ones. We can go ahead and paste that in here, and I can get rid of this original one. This one takes its place. Now, I'm getting rid of the stars. We're not going to need them. I can need the company name. I'll still decide on whether the picture's going to be there or not, but we can go ahead and connect this text now. So this is going to go ahead and get the review. There you go. Okay, and these grid elements, I would like them to go ahead and expand. But it appears I'm having some, and the height now I want also to be 100%. There you go. Okay. So testimonials are in here, and then we're going to have see how others are living their home. Okay, so we'll replace the image here for this one. So this one's commercial. This one is going to be, it's your selections, furniture, and then commercial. Okay, now this is actually an image that we are going to use, so I'll export this. Okay, so the image here is going to be our project image here, okay? Now this one is actually going to be a little bit trickier because this is going to be a collection list as well. So, okay, so this is essentially day 2 of the development of this. I started a little bit that same time at day 1. There's some things I just kind of wanted to revisit and take a break on. Some things I need to try to fix too. So we're going to be going over all the styling and essentially making the site yours. Taking those Relume components and transforming them to what you're really wanting them to look like. Now, this may not be the best scenario for that because fortunately these components worked out really well for what the scope and the need was for this project. I'll be doing something else in the future to get even further modifying these, but we'll still go over a lot of that right now, and especially a lot of the client-first system, understanding that a little bit more. What I will have is I'll have my window open for the client-first, so I can reference those, go over some of these things, and then also, of course, keep Webflow open as well, talk a little bit about this. So we're going to take it back to Webflow and go over a lot of the stuff here. So I have our Webflow project open. One thing I'll point out, you notice that this does not match the type we have in Figma. I'm going to ignore that for now. I'm having some issues and I may have to do a different workaround for that. I'm just hoping I don't have to, again, something else a little bit later. But we did already set our body type and everything. And so jumping into this section, now our stuff is already styled-ish. For the most part, we have our buttons, styled if we need to. I don't have the content in here yet. I got some of our little details in here. And of course, this stuff here as well. So now what I also did was I made this responsive, okay? So if you've seen anything like from Wizardry, Timothy Ricks did something awesome as well, and I actually used that for my personal portfolio site. This one is not using that here, but they still did be able to do a little bit of calculation to get some responsiveness in there, and I do appreciate that. Now I'm also using their Google Chrome plugin, so their FinSuite Google Chrome plugin, which also has some client-facing or some client-first stuff in here. I haven't used all of this, but I did use their Fluid design generator. And so here we do have the, you can set essentially the page size here, and I think I had it set to 2560. Okay, and then I think I left it at 18 if I'm not mistaken, but from here we went ahead and just copy this. Actually, I think I removed the style set, I copied the clipboard, and then I went up to the global styles, double click that symbol, and then pasted that into here. Okay, now everything else here started being able to be responsive. The only thing that needed to adjust was actually our hero image. And that is because I needed it to have cover instead of fill. So that way it's able to stay covered and take up the space of this here. But all right, I'm going to reference my Figma project now and start getting this stuff styled. So one thing we need to work on and do is one, we'll go over the client first, all the naming and kind of what that stuff is doing, but also the connecting a lot of the databases or the CMS as well. Okay, so let's break down these components. So we have now when you go to client first, they talk about the core structure, okay? And then you have your page wrapper, and then nav component, main wrapper, and section page, padding, blah, 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 container. So that's kind of the core structure that's going to be for the site. And then inside of here, whatever container you use, then you're going to start having your components and elements. And so they kind of break down, the spacing and everything into that structure. And you can learn more about the core structure here. And they do this really to try to create mainly the global elements. That way, whenever you're adjusting them, they kind of adjust for everything. And then the components are all custom after that. And so they really try to avoid having like stack classes and stuff, because it makes it difficult if a client's going to be getting into this, and sometimes for you to remember. Trust me, on like my personal site, I have not been a developer first, so naming has always been the tougher part if you're not a developer. Sometimes even for developers, they still get all over the place with naming. And sometimes with my stack classes, I start messing things up. Now, this is really to help you avoid that. And so really and truly, you can get into any of these components, start editing stuff, and it's not going to break anything else. That's the nice part. It's going to be easier to create a separate class, a custom class, and then edit after that. So we'll see that same core page structure here. And then we get down into header component. Now that's going to be the very first component here that we copied. And thankfully, these are at least labeled, header, and then we have testimonial component. And so it's nice. A client will still know what it is. The only one that kind of sucks is like layout 24 and layout ones. And it's just that you can see them, not quite know what it is. At the end of the day, it's at least still serving its point. And it's separate and named correctly. So someone else sees it with like his layout 29, but it's just because we copied it from Relume. Okay, now the next thing we have here are going to be our headings. Now, a lot of these are already like H1s, so these are just the global ones, okay? But for these, in my wireframe, I do have it set to where these are custom. Now, I don't want to mess up the standard global ones. I just want to use our custom ones, which I am going to be using as like the heading extra large, which is like double extra large there. These will be custom, okay? Now, these are going to be the custom ones there. That way it's not every headings. I don't want to use this type everywhere, just only in certain places. And I'd rather the styled one be used in the certain places over the global one be used everywhere. So I have that here. I have our contact us form here, same thing. I'm going to do heading extra large. Great. Okay, now we have these here. Okay, so now this is the easy part. Really, it's just kind of adding in your content, all right? So what we're going to do is go ahead and start copying over this. I'm going to do this really quick. So I already have everything that I have written here. Copy that. Oops, I copied it again. That's great. Copy that. Paste that here. Okay, copy that. Paste that here. Okay, now that is a copy here. All right, so this is going to be a perfect example of me also, image is scaling. Okay, so it's just a bug that's kind of going on in my browser. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Okay, and so now we can do, label these what I had them set in the thing. So view our work and set our project is going to be R2. So view our work. Okay, and then start a project. Now this button is actually going to take us to a projects page. I believe I did make that. Yes, I did. And then start a project. Perfect. Now what I'm probably going to do is take this to contact form down here, and let's test that. Yes, perfect. Contact form is here. Great. So I didn't know, but this is nice, is that these sections are already all labeled. Now that means I don't have to go and label them, and we can already reference them here. So if you go to our contact component, maybe it's the contact form. Okay, contact form is what is what's labeled in here. But perfect. So then that way I know it's ID'd and I can go directly to it. Okay. I'm going to change this logo here as well. Now this one's going to be pretty easy. Replace the logo image here. Perfect. You actually need to turn this, it's going to be a little tough here, turn this into a gallery. Okay, so we have the Lightbox link. So each one is a link here. Now the link is styled. So actually what I need is going to be these to cover, okay, which is perfect. That's already happening. And so even if I replace whatever image, it's going to cover it all. And that's what I want, essentially. Okay. So that means, so image wrapper large, image wrapper. Okay. Okay, so the wrapper is what is changing. The image and light box is not the wrapper, it is what is changing. So let's see if we can get this to be our CMS. Now I want this to stay the component. What's going to happen is I'm actually going to put in our collection list, okay? Now the collection list, I'll move it up here just so I can see. And then I also want the collection list to say, to be styled as our gallery. A component. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm going to start getting these classes to match this. These are going to be considered an item, and this is going to be the wrapper, essentially. So if you look into here, you have the component, and then you have each item, all right? And so this is going to be the item here, collection item. And so this is going to be projects. Okay, now there's going to be no projects in here. What I have to do is go to projects and generate add 5 items. I'm just doing this real quick to go ahead and get something in here to go ahead and design with. Make my life a little easier. Okay, so now we have 5 products. And I think I do want to limit this to 4. I want this just to be more like featured products. Okay, so we have the image, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now we can grab Lightbox, image wrapper, fill, and then the image. So the image can be pulled from the projects, main project image. Perfect. Let's test out this Lightbox link. What does this do? Okay, nothing yet. Okay, you know what? This might be a little different actually. So I'm going to do just a div block into here. Actually, okay. Let's go back, and this is under the margin bottom. Padding vertical, okay. Give me a div block here. Now, what I want to do is, let's go ahead and pull this into here, all right. Pull this div block into here. Great. So I have to treat this slightly different. I have to do 4 different collection wrappers in this scenario. And that's just because I decided to make my life a little harder and use this gallery. This is how I'm gonna have to do it. If there's a different way, someone let me know, but this is how I'm doing it here. Okay, so I do want to keep the styling here. Let me see. Let me see if it's needed. So let's go back to my component. I'm going to do show 1 and start at 1, okay? Perfect. Now this one, I'm going to rename this back to the component. Gallery 8 components. Okay. All right, so this one I am going to remove the styling after all. Remove class. So it's just going to be collection lists, okay? Now, what I can do is I can start copying these over. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Why am I doing this? Because in this one, I am actually going to we're going to restyle this one. So gallery 8 image wrapper, and this one as well. Oops, sorry. Move class, gallery, image, wrapper. Okay, so there's large and wrapper here. Because now, as you can see, it's starting to match this. So what has to happen is there has to be different filtering for each one. This one has to show 1, start at 2. Okay, this one has to Oh shoot. This one has to show 1, start at 3. And this one, wherever you're at in my thing here, has to show 1 and start at 4. There you go. Now it's all different and matching this. And that's because what happens is Webflow, what it's doing is the collection items all mimic each other. And since I know who's going to be handling this, I think this is okay. It shouldn't cause any issues. Usually it's like set it and forget it kind of thing. But I know it would be a lot easier if we had even squares, and especially for the client, for that to happen there. But I know they're not going to get in there and do anything themselves. I'm going to delete the original component, and then we're going to take a look at this, okay? So now these light boxes all work. All of these all link to everything here. I'm not quite done yet. I do want to actually have a way to go to these projects here. And so what I'm actually probably going to do is I do need to add a hover state. If you remember on my Figma file, I had it to where it hovered. And now that I think about it, I actually don't need this light box because it's going to go into a project and they can view all that stuff there. So I'm actually going to see if I can just get rid of this light box link because I'm not going to need it. Let's see, what does that do? Okay, yeah, great. I can just get rid of the lightbox link. But what I can do is grab this. So this, I'm going to copy the styling from here. So I'm going to say Gallery 8 link instead. So Gallery 8 image, Gallery 8 link. So let's do that. Now this one has 2 rems of spacing and 100% width. So this div is going to have the same thing. It's going to have Gallery 8 underscore link. Not lightbox link, because it's not a lightbox. I wanted to say the right thing. This is going to have 2 rems down here. Oops. 2 rems. Okay, and then a width of 100% as well. Okay, so now this matches this here. Now my gallery wrapper is going to go inside this. This is going to come back. I'm not quite done yet. I actually made a mistake here. I'm going to do I need to do a link block. I'm sorry. Link block. And let's give this the same current project. And let's do Gallery 8 link. Lightbox link. Where is my Gallery 8 link? There we go. Great. So give this here, put this inside here, but this guy needs to come out. And this needs to disappear, go away. Perfect. So this is how it's going to work. Now I should have done this to every one, but it is what it is. Get rid of the light box again. And then we're going to do Gallery 8 link. So when you're styling these, I should have gone over this earlier. When you're styling these, the name is going to be Gallery 8 Components. So Gallery 8 is the name. Component is telling you that this is going to be component. Everything under here is going to follow that same name. So everything else we're going to put inside of here is going to be Gallery 8 and then the name of the item. That's why it's going to be link. So for example, we have Gallery 8 link inside of our Gallery 8 component. Under that, we have Gallery 8 image wrapper. Then inside there, you have Gallery 8 image. So that's how the name's going to follow. And I'm going to start creating some more names right now, so you're going to see that as well. So what I need to do is instead of our wrapper here, our wrapper is relative, perfect. We're going to have, oops, I'm sorry. We're going to have another div, okay? Now, this div is going to also have to be, I'm going to do relative for now. Let's try absolute. This is going to be absolute to Gallery image. I want this to be to the bottom here and be at a height of, let's say, 30%. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Let's try that. but I didn't rename it, so let's name it. Okay, so Gallery 8. Let's do hover wrap. Okay, because there needs to be an image in there now, or color in there, I'm sorry. This is going to be that color that we have, that fill that we've already set. And I believe I did put this inside of our, yes I did. So that's the color here. And I'm going to make it about a 70% transparency, just like this is here. Right. Okay. Now I'm actually going to make this a flex box and then just center everything on the inside here, as well as the text. So now I'm going to do a text block here. Oops, I'm sorry. A text block here. And so I need to make sure that everything in here is centered. There we go. Well, I thought I centered the text here, but it didn't look like it did anything. So let's just, yeah, let's do that. Okay, great. Actually, let's do vertical. That's probably why. Center that there, center this here, and center the text that way. I like that better. Okay. Now, I'm going to see how I had this styled. So I had this as a thin object sans. I don't think I have anything styled like this. Looks like it's separate by itself. So it is going to be Gallery 8, project, and then dash name. Okay. That's going to let us go ahead and do our own styling here. So this one, the type is going to be 32. So it's going to be 2 rems. Okay. Each rem is 16 px. That's what the system is going off of. And so the type here is actually going to be 2 rems. Okay. Now our thing is going to be set as thin. All right. Well, it looks like thin is italicized. I'll figure that out. Do that here in a bit. And I want to get type from name. All right, perfect. Now I do want to give this some padding. I'm going to go ahead and just style my map here. Instead of this making it more difficult, I'm just going to do, I like how they do padding off of percentages, but maybe here we'll do, just do 10%, see how that looks. Perfect. So 10 and 10% there on each side. All right, and it should never get as big as there, but we'll do that. And so that will be the name. Now this is also going to be the hover state. Now we'll have to animate all of these. So I'm gonna get this, grab that, put that in there, then put this guy in here and here, and they're all there. So now these are all here, but again, these are gonna be hover. So what I now need to do is style this. So we're gonna have our elements trigger, okay, mouse hover. So we're going to do start an animation. I got to make a custom one. So do a new one here, and this is going to be home gallery hover. Perfect. Now before I do this, I'm going to have to actually make the default state of this hidden. So the default state of these is going to be hidden here. Why am I being blind? Perfect. Okay. Go back to our animation here. So again, start an animation. And then we're going to do, first we need to do opacity. Now this, actually, so let's together. Hide and show. Both of these are going to be together. Now hide and show is set as initial state and set as initial state. Okay, so it is hidden, okay, and it will be at let's see here, 0% opacity. All right. Now, here at our endpoint, we have to do deselect an element. Perfect. Gallery hover wrap. Okay, so now here, what we want to do is do hide and show at the end. Get that out of here. And then do opacity as well. I don't want these two together. I want hide and show to be first, if it will let me. Okay, I'm going to go back to our flex box here. And then our opacity is going to be set to 100%. Okay. So let's, perfect. Okay, so it's not quite working out the way I wanted, but I have an issue here. So I need to do a clash trigger for all of these. Save that. And I want this trigger to happen whenever I hover over this here. So element trigger, mouse hover, select an action, and let's do start an animation, and now pick my hover here. Perfect. Nice. Now I can delete that element trigger from here because, okay, so I need to fix that. Not quite done yet. So now it's getting closer to where I want it. So we have this here. I go to my settings here. I do need to do this as the selected element. Okay, save there. Because, yes. All right. So really what I should have done is probably styled this first, then copy this all over, and then my animation would have copied over with me. But it just made my work a little harder. So now that this is working here, what has to happen is this here after my, so we have mouse hover on hover out. We'll have to start another animation, okay? And I'm gonna do another one. So home, gallery, mouse away. All right, so here we are going to start with hover wrap again. And then we're going to do our hide and show and opacity again. So both of these. And so on mouse away, what will happen is it will go hidden, and then opacity will be 0 or 0% there. But I'm going to actually do bottom here this way. So let's try that. So save there. Oh, it's a little unelegant, so let me see how I can tweak this a little more. So on mouse away, we do have opacity, hide and show. So let's do this. Let's try it here, so save that. There you go. Real simple. And then I'll go ahead and do these for the rest of them. So I'm gonna stop right here for now, take a break, come back at this one. It'll just be a cut for y'all. Okay guys, so next day here, I'm back at this. And we're gonna continue working on this a little bit more, kind of wrap things up here, go over a little bit more of the client first. And then after this, I'm really just kind of working with them on getting content. And so last time we left off designing and building out this part for the projects and viewing those, and we're building out the animations. I did a little bit of custom naming, but for the most part I was able to stick with whatever was there. So you can see here everything works from last time that we built. I may change animation later, but for now I think it's fine. And we can see that these actually take us to the project. Yes, they do. And that's the project that's filled in there. Make sure, yeah, that's wrapping the rich text. Perfect. Now that we have all this stuff opened up, I just want to make sure all of our custom, let's see here, image gallery, projects. Okay, so I do need to build out our project page here so we can see all our projects. Now these ones are even. I wanted these ones to be even just for it to be easy. Let me see here. Let me make sure, you know what? Our code, I forgot the, what is the symbol name? Our code is not in this page and it might not be on these page, global styles. That's what it is. So this needs to be on the page wrapper. And there we go. Now it's actually following our responsiveness. So you can see that following here. Perfect. So let's go back to our project page and let's go ahead and start working on this. So we need to have our collection list in here. So we're going to do the same thing again. So Gallery 5 component. Now this is a grid. And so I want this to be able to now be our, essentially where all of our projects are going to show. And this is going to be similar to what we did last time. There's a light box in here. I'm going to get rid of the light box. We need to click into the project. And I'm going to rename slightly a couple of things. So again, I'm going to take our main padding that everything is in here. And I'm going to go ahead and do our collection list. Collection list is in here. Now the collection list where everything is contained, that one is what needs to be named the Gallery 5 component. Gallery 5 component. And I can see, okay, let's go ahead and grab this. Let's make it the grid. I'm going to go ahead and do this for now. So this one needs to be our projects. And that's going to be taken here. Now we're going to have our link box. Okay, so 100, 100, and that's pretty good there. So I'm going to take our collection item. And remember, we want to do Gallery 5 and then just do link because we don't need link, lightbox link. Width is 100%, height is 100% as well. But now we need to have some content in there. So I can take the image wrapper and put this into here. The block should actually, you know what? Since get link block, then okay, put that. We need a clipboard data. Need the image wrapper. There we go. Okay. So this one, I want to remove the class, and then this one here will actually need to be Gallery 5 link, and this one will be Gallery 5 item. And I need to have this one be the same as well, because it needs to take up the full width of this. Okay, so this grid is right here. All right, there's something going on here. Gallery 5 item. Oh, that's what I did. 100%. Perfect. Now I can get rid of that component, and now we have our projects here. Now these photos do need to grab the image from main project image. And I think we need to do some more custom stuff to this. So we need to make some categories. And the reason why is because I want to use client FinSuite's attributes to go ahead and maybe do some filtering. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this one up here. I didn't go through much more. So again, like there's not much styling going on in here. I'm still waiting on content for them. And the reason why I continued with building this out is because I kind of just want to jump ahead a little bit. I can still fill in the content, and that's fine, and make some adjustments, which I'll do. So in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and start working with attributes as well. I want to start creating some filtering, fill in a lot of this stuff, and make this thing a little bit nicer. But we can see because these components are already designed for mobile, I don't really have to do much here. Maybe I'll go in there and start tweaking some stuff later. But for the most part, all this stuff already works on mobile. Well, except for that. That needs to scale down. Okay, perfect. And we do have a nice big image back here as well. So good thing I caught that. There we go. I like that better. That's the page. Great. So now that should be good here, and then it's going to be good on my mobile as well.
Okay, so hopefully this one helped out. I know this one's a lot longer one. If there's anything particular you still want some questions answered in terms of the client first and working with some more of these components, I can do a dive into this build for that. Maybe while I'm waiting in between the content. Maybe while I'm waiting in between the content, we can go ahead and do that and see if that can help you out there. But next is going to be working with the attributes, create some custom filtering. So we can go ahead and talk about that part next while we're kind of waiting on content, just so this thing can keep rolling.